right behind me. And guys, surprisingly, my race pace was good enough to stick with Gasly in the AlphaTauri, which you guys know at this stage is a much better car. So we are going to go for the move up the inside. Gasly gives us a big pinch, but we force our way in there. And turbocharged 51 over here. I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. Guys, welcome back to Turbo Fox Racers. Welcome back to my fellow Turbonatic family members, and welcome back to F1 22 career mode, the road to glory, as we drive for Williams Racing alongside Alex Albon. Guys, if you haven't checked out the previous episode, make sure you go check out the previous episode before you get any spoilers in this one. And guys, today we are heading towards the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on the Jeddah street circuit. Now guys, if you guys watched the previous episode, hashtag here's where the spoilers start. Basically, we got points for this team in our first ever race for them, being literally the back market team. And secondly, we did that by a miracle because basically all the upgrades failed that should have gone on the car. So it's very clear that Williams's quality control is not very good at this stage. So there's a lot of stuff to work on, but like always when you do a road to glory, you start at the bottom and you get hit with every possible speed bump in the road and you have to work through it. You guys can quickly check on screen. I did one of the Pirelli hot lap challenges in the new supercars in the game. I'm going to try and make a little bit of content with these cars a little bit later on. But yeah, these cars are quite fun. And I don't think these cars are going to maintain the value within the game like the vintage F1 cars always did. But it's still a fun new thing that Cody's and EA have put into the game. And, you know, props to them for trying something new. In any case, we only get a silver with this challenge. These challenges are quite tough, but they still are fun. So in any case, guys, one thing that I quickly have to talk about before this video commences any further. Guys, during this video, my microphone of my headset broke. Basically, the headset broke. So most of basically all of the recordings in qualifying and the race have got like a shudder in the background of just terrible noises. I do apologize for that. I'm currently using the earphones that I have had for like 4 or 5 years. It's not the best microphone, but it's the only thing that I can use at this stage until I manage to get myself another headset. So please just bear with me, but videos after this will not have that incredibly bad background shudder, and I will definitely be more what's the word I'm looking for? More alert for these little mistakes that can creep in that are kind of in my control in the future. So I do apologize for the bad noises in the background of this video. I really do, but it's only for this one. So like I said, please bear with me, and hopefully my commentary shuts out most of the noise, but the cars are going to be really soft and everything. So once again, just bear with me. We get a silver, we get 500 acclaim for this challenge, and now we head in towards the weekend for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Now, guys, one thing that I do want to mention in practice, this car, these new cars, like I said in the previous episode, they are phenomenal in high-speed corners, and Jeddah's got a lot of them. But in the slow-speed stuff, they can really bite back. Before I continue with that, let's quickly look at the performance chart. As always, Ferrari lead the way, and they've also brought some upgrades along with Red Bull in P2, Mercedes-AMG Petronas are still in P3. It's a very close battle between Alpine and Alfa Romeo for P4. P5 and P6 is fought. P6 and P7 is fought over by Haas and AlphaTauri. McLaren McLaren have brought some upgrades to the Jeddah City Street circuit, as they are sitting 8th in the R&D chart, Aston Martin on 9th, and we are still 10th with Williams Racing. Now back to the story, guys. Like I said, these cars don't feel too great in the slow speed corners, and it is something to get adjusted to. But I feel that I'm adjusting to these cars a lot better than I thought I would. And remember, I'm still on a pad. I don't have a fancy wheel setup or anything. But the car this weekend throughout practice did not feel the best. And then when we got to qualifying, for some other reason, I made a few tweaks to the setup, and the car felt a lot better than I thought it would. This is a quick little footage of practice 3, where I had a few excursions. But heading into qualifying, I was feeling very confident in the car. I know that we might have a reality check this episode, otherwise most definitely next episode. But yeah, I was feeling good heading into qualifying, and I am hoping for nothing but the best possible result, even if it is not points. But guys, it is now time for qualifying, so let's head right there, right now. So guys, we are already heading out for our first run in qualifying, and like I said, guys, I was feeling really confident. I was feeling so confident that there is the possibility of a Q2 performance, because this track is mainly engine related track. So obviously the cars with better straight line speed have got a bigger chance of doing well here, and on this Williams, that is basically the only thing it has, is good straight line performance because of its Mercedes power unit in the back. So with refining the setup, sorting out the chassis and the aero issues, like I said on multiple occasions, I sound like a broken record at this stage, but confidence was higher than I thought it would be after practice 2. It was only in practice 3 when I started to really get into the groove of this car. Now we come across the line for the end of our first run in Q1. Thank you very much. And we are in P8. And for me, personally, that's a bloody good time, considering we have had no upgrades on this car whatsoever, because all the upgrades failed that we should have put on the car previous episode. And so everything is looking good. And when I looked at the timings, I was like, I've got a big gap to being knocked out. I'm going to risk it for the chocolate biscuit and just not go out again. And as qualifying runs out, we are sitting pretty in P14. We are into Q2, and Q3, not a very big possibility, but anything can happen in Formula One. Alonso makes it through by the skin of his teeth, and then out of qualifying is Lando Norris, Sebastian Vettel, our teammate Albon, Lance Stroll, and Daniel Ricciardo. But as you guys can see, the difference between myself and Norris is half a second. That's why I didn't go out for a final run, because I thought I had the right amount of time to just, risk it for the chocolate biscuit. And we did, and it paid off. So now we head towards the end of our first run in Q2. Obviously, we can use 2 new sets of tires. We only go P14 for our first run. Thank you very much. And when we go for our second run in qualifying, obviously we're going to ride on board with this lap, guys. You guys are going to see, look, it's not a Mercedes, it's not a Red Bull, it's not a Ferrari, but for the car where it is now, without any upgrades on it, the Williams was really not, it was really, what's the word I'm looking for, doing a good task with what it is. So I was really, really impressed with this car, and you guys can see I've got confidence on the curbs. And this game just feels amazing when you hook up a lap. So we go down to end the first sector as we now head into sector 2 for this bang its hairpin, as it is the first corner of sector 2. Into 5th gear, slowly but surely apply the throttle, come out of there, and then we head into this blind right-left chicane. Go get as close to the walls as you dare, ride the curb on the inside, and here is the new DRS zone on the 22 game for the Jeddah Grand Prix circuit. There we go. Open up DRS as we head down this. Basically, it's not a straight, but this flat out section in sector 2. into my favorite two corners of the track, the left-right chicane, once again a little bit blind, and onto this back stretch of the track, which is also flat out until you get to the final corner, which is also a hairpin. You stick to the inside, brake as late as possible, try and take a little bit of a late apex, get the car turned in as close to the wall as possible, plant the power as early as you dare on the way out, open up DRS, and as we head towards the line, we will be in P13. Oh my word, guys, Max Verstappen is knocked out in Q2. What happened to Max? He probably must have had a very bad lap at the end of qualifying, or he must have been held up by another driver or something. But along with us, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, and I think, yes, Fernando Alonso is out of qualifying. This is going to be a very interesting Grand Prix.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Russell, Esteban Ocon, and Bottas, Magnussen, Gasly, Mick Schumacher, and Max Verstappen, Tsunoda, O'Connor, Guan Yu Zhou, and Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Norris, Sebastian Vettel, and Alex Albon, Stroll, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
I am so ready for this race. My Turbonatics, welcome to the grid of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix here in Season 1 of Career Mode. Now guys, it worked out for us last time, so I'm going to try it again. We're going from hards to mediums for this strategy. There's a big possibility of safety cars around Jeddah, so we always need to factor that in, but I am once again going with the hards to start this race. Now guys, strategy-wise, I'm going to up the fuel a bit because with all the long straights, it is very easy to use a lot of fuel. But I think with the shuffled up grid thanks to qualifying, it's going to be a very, very interesting Grand Prix this. So without further ado, remember to like and let's get ready for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? We'll soon find out. As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can. And they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that, within the points.
Are you guys ready for the the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the second race of this first season. Everybody is now lined up on the grid. We go on board with Sergio Perez as we head to 5 red lights, and it's go for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's a Ferrari front row lockout with Perez and P3. Leclerc and Sainz are going side by side into the first corner. Perez is under pressure from one of the Mercedes. I think it's Russell. Yes, it's Russell around the outside of Perez. But Perez gives George the squeeze and he is into P3. We've got Ocon and Bottas fighting side by side. But Leclerc and Sainz are still going side by side for this little bit of the racetrack. Excuse the little jump there in the replay, guys. I could do nothing about that. But in any case, an onboard first lap of this Jeddah street circuit is a very nice way to see the first lap. Sainz got the better of Leclerc and he is into the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We jump back to our POV for our start. And as you guys see, there was a penalty for Lewis Hamilton. So we got moved up to P12. And into the first quarter, we are extremely late on the brakes. A little bit of contact with Guan Yu Zhou on our inside, if I'm not mistaken. And there we go. Through the first quarter, we get ourselves up into P10, into the points. And now we need to try and stick with Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly to not fall out of DRS detection. Because just like Monza in all the F1 games, if you have got DRS around Jeddah, you are in for a very good race around this track. But we are into the points, one singular point only, but we've got Verstappen and Hamilton coming from behind. So we are at this stage looking at a P12 unless something goes very wrong for their races. We are going side by side a little bit quickly there with Guan Yu Zhou, but we just pinch him to the inside. It's an easy move to stay in. Well, it's an easy defense to stay in P10. And with us defending from Zhou, Verstappen gets up into P11. So we've got Sainz leading Leclerc, then Perez, Russell, Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen, Gasly, Schumacher, and then myself in the midway part of this first lap. But there's still 25 racing laps to come, so there's a lot that can still happen. But you guys can see I am under severe pressure from Verstappen, and at this stage I was just like, he's not in my race even at this stage. Let's just let him go. He is in one of the fastest cars on the grid. Let him go, stick behind him, steal the slipstream, and if I can stick with him until he catches up to Schumacher, we've got instant DRS as soon as lap 3 starts. We also need to worry about Alonso because, we do not. Verstappen is in. Alonso is in. This must be for front wing damage. Verstappen is in. Off comes the front wing, and it's the same for my hero, Fernando Alonso. They have both had contact on the first lap with other drivers or with the wall, you never know. And they are now on a fresh set of soft tires, but very, very far back. So now all we really need to worry about is Hamilton in a faster car that we can't fight. But here we go. If I know myself, I'm probably going to fight. But we start lap 4 of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And Leclerc is looking to take the lead away from his Spanish teammate Carlos Sainz into the first 2 corners. Leclerc from the outside to the inside. But the car's a little bit twitchy on exit. And Sainz keeps the position at this stage of the Grand Prix. We now look at Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly, Haas v Alpha Tauri for P8 in this race. They've lost the touch with Magnussen and Bottas. But side by side, for the German and the Frenchman. Through the final corner, Gasly Schumacher tries to pinch Gasly to the wall, and it's going to be a drag race now towards the line. It's Honda power v Ferrari power, but I think Gasly has got DRS, but Schumacher is coming back at him. What a little sequence, what an exceptional drag race there between the Haas and the Alpha Tauri. Around the outside goes Gasly to try and defend his P8 position, but the more these guys squabble, the better my chances are of getting within 1 second and within DRS. And as you guys can see, now we are firmly there. But Schumacher and Gasly have been side by side now for basically half a lap. And through this next section, Gasly pinches Schumacher to the inside, and Schumacher has to jump on the brakes. And we go a little bit wide there through the S section. I think that was just a little bit a wash of understeer. But guys, let's have a replay of this. So Gasly and Schumacher side by side through this right-hander into the double left, and then there's another right. So here's the first left, the second left, and here's the right. And just Gasly, he just makes sure that Mick knows if he follows through with that corner, there's going to be an almighty crash. Schumacher has to back off. We sail around the outside, and we are now up into P9. But here we quickly have a replay here of Charles Leclerc fighting for the lead with his teammate Sainz once again. Through this next quarter, Sainz's car is really wiggly through that hairpin, and that is an easy overtake for the lead for Leclerc, as he also has DRS on the main straight. So Leclerc is your new race leader, and it's still a Ferrari 1-2. We now look at the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, who goes for a dive up the inside of the Chinese rookie Guan Yu Zhou, and I missed the move that he made on Schumacher, unfortunately, but he is now right behind me. And guys, surprisingly, my race pace was good enough to stick with Gasly in the AlphaTauri, which you guys know at this stage is a much better car. So we are going to go for the move up the inside. Gasly gives us a big pinch, but we force our way in there. And even Hamilton gets the move done on Gasly, as we sit now in P8 with 4 points against our name at this stage of the season. Guys, to open the season with 2 points finishes in the first 2 races would be brilliant. And as you guys quickly saw there, Gasly just had a lockup midway, in those final few meters into turn 1, and he went wide. That is why not just I could go for an easy move, but Hamilton as well. But now here's the part that I worried about, because this bloody Mercedes is so much quicker than the Williams. But guys, I was going to fight this, and as you guys can see, into the first corner, a little bit of contact made between myself and Hamilton, but no harm done. Hamilton was pinching me very much to the inside, and I'm the defending driver. I'm usually the one that should be doing the pinching, but we stick in P8, but the question is for how long? As we start lap 10, Carlos Sainz has not yet let go of his more senior Ferrari teammate. And when I say more senior, I mean just being longer at Ferrari. But Sainz going side by side with Leclerc. It's deja vu from lap 1. Will Sainz be able to, instead of defending first position, be able to take first position from his teammate Leclerc? The more these two fight, the more chance it gives Perez to catch up to them. But Sainz does exactly what Gasly did to Schumacher. He pinches his teammate, and he's back into the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We now jump on towards the end of lap 10 within the final sector. Here comes Leclerc once again. These two Ferrari drivers are glued together today, and they are having a monumental scrap for the lead, but they are not thinking about that Red Bull from behind. But Leclerc is in, and he's got front wing damage. Did I miss contact in that final corner? I must have missed contact. So Leclerc is forced into an early pit stop. And guys, this can make Perez jump Leclerc. This is a big moment in this race, because Sainz is now away in the lead. Perez is within a second, so Sainz might come under severe pressure. But if Leclerc doesn't heat up those tires as quickly as possible, he's going to have a problem, because remember, these tires are very cold to heat up at the start of a new stint, because the tires are given to you quite cold. And not just that, the hards take a few laps to rubber in. So Leclerc he basically needs to overheat the tires in the hope that they don't overheat, and he just gets them into the right operating window. Otherwise, he is sitting in P3 and not fighting for the lead anymore. But here you guys can see, here comes a bunch of drivers into the pit lane. We started on the hards, remember, so we are still out there racing, and we're going for the overcut. But you guys can see, not just as Leclerc had a slow pit stop because he had to change the front wing, he is stuck in traffic. He is stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel fighting away, and there's smoke. Lewis Hamilton has had an engine blowout as he exited the pit lane, and the 7-time world champion is out of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That's one less worry for myself, but Verstappen's race is closing up on us very quickly. I cannot forget about Verstappen at the end of this race. But guys, look at this. Perez is closing up towards Sainz. I think Charles is hoping that Perez puts severe pressure on his teammate for him to even have a sniff at still being in this race. But here we go. Sainz and Perez are diving into the pit lane at the end of lap 12, the start of lap 13. But now the question is, where is that second Ferrari? Where is Leclerc? It is off of the mediums onto the hards for both Sainz and Perez. Ferrari have the better pit stop because Sainz is out ahead of Perez, and you've got Ocon in, you've got Russell in, and here we are just still cruising along. I'm in clean air now, everything is looking all nice and done, but Sainz is out ahead of Perez, and I don't see Leclerc, guys. The front wing breakage along with the traffic has cost Leclerc severely. He is now behind me and George Russell even. Leclerc has got a monumental task if he still wants to be within a shout to win this Grand Prix. But I'm sure he's going to close up to the back of that Mercedes much quicker than we think. And I think it's going to be an easy move on George as they both start to close up to me. But here you've got Ocon, Magnussen, and Bottas battling. Verstappen battling away with his former teammate Pierre Gasly for P10. But I'm almost certain Verstappen has got another pit stop. If he doesn't, he's basically going to come out ahead of me within the pit stop phases. But guys, remember, for the people I'm racing around me, Schumacher, Albon, Vettel, Norris, Stroll, all those guys, I'm going to be on the fresher tires. So if I need to fight, I will have the grip. But at the end of lap 14, you guys can see Leclerc makes an easy move on Russell. And now they are sitting pretty on my gearbox. And lap 15 is the lap I'm coming in for my pit stop. So I need to hold on for one more lap and not have them slow me down. If they get close to me, I will let them go and rather steal DRS and slipstream off of them. But otherwise, you guys can see here goes Leclerc. Ooh, Leclerc made a very late attempt there while I was already moving over towards the wall to take the racing line. So Leclerc had to be a little bit easy on the brakes there. But guys, at this stage, Leclerc just absolutely drains his battery coming out of the second sector hairpin. He's passed me. I've got no problem with that because now I can have slipstream and DRS. And now on the next straight, not this one because I've already lost a bit of time that I want to regain with DRS, I'll let Russell go as well because they're not in my race, I'm not in theirs, and it would be stupid to hold these guys up and also cost myself some more time. But here we go. DRS is open, and it doesn't look like I want to let Russell go. The inner racer inside, which is like, nah, Russell can hold on. He can chill behind me. He's in any case, I've got to keep up with Leclerc. But you guys can see, coming out of the final hairpin, I have to stick to the inside because Russell still tried to go for a move because of his superior grip and superior car. But we are into the pit lane. And, oh, sorry, guys, I quickly talked over the commentators there. But now it's to see where will we be released into the rest of this race. Obviously, we are not racing Bottas, Ocon, and Magnussen. Our race is with Verstappen, Zhou, Schumacher, and my teammate Albon. But guys, Verstappen is already through the first corner, so clearly Max is not going for another stop. He's pushing to the end, and we are out in P9. That is still points, guys. Even a P12, which is not any points at all, will still be a good finish for this team. But points is like getting a podium. It's seriously, at this stage of the career mode, which is still very young, this Williams team, it needs points. That's all we need is points. But now, we are looking at a very interesting battle for P5 between Alpine, Alfa Romeo, and Haas. And the drivers are Ocon, Bottas, and Magnussen. As Bottas and Ocon are going side by side through the final corner, Ocon is going to be the one who's out here left to dry. As we're going 3 wide into the first corner for a little bit there. But Magnussen and Bottas have got DRS, so they are now ahead of Ocon. But who will come out in the lead of this battle? And it seems to be the flying Finn, Valtteri Bottas. But Magnussen comes back at Bottas. So it's the two Ferrari-powered cars fighting hammer and tong here for P5, which will be a lot of points and a lot of good points for these teams because they don't have to worry about Hamilton or Verstappen, even though Verstappen is really quickly chasing them down from behind. In the background there you can see the banana nose of the Red Bull slowly but surely making his way towards this little group. Once again, here goes Bottas trying to, oh, that's a very, very harder. Oh my word, that was a harsh hit on Magnussen. Magnussen forced Bottas wide. Ocon tried to take advantage and they overtake Valtteri Bottas, who has now lost the position instead of gaining one, and he is down to P7. And guys, unfortunately, I missed the move that Ocon made on Magnussen. I do apologize. But on lap 21 of 25, Verstappen has caught up to this group. He dives up the inside of Bottas, the former Mercedes driver who he raced against in previous seasons in a much more superior car than the Alfa Romeo. But Verstappen is really having to work for this one because Bottas is not making his life easy. But finally, Max gets the move done. And with less than 4 laps to go, I think Magnussen and Ocon are slowly but surely starting to panic a bit. We jump onto the penultimate lap of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and Verstappen tried to do the same to Magnussen, which he did to Bottas, but in a much easier fashion. He gets past the white and red Haas car, and only Ocon stands in the way of Verstappen and a P5, which would be a fantastic recovery considering where he started and when he had to pit for his first pit stop. Verstappen is on a 2-stop, guys, and he is pushing like a madman. And now we look at the 2 leaders as we start the final lap of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it is Sainz versus Perez and Ocon versus Verstappen. And guys, I'm just sitting pretty in P9. You guys can see I've got 9 seconds to this little battle ahead of me, which the first car would be Bottas. And then behind me, I'm keeping Zhou and Vettel a nice 4 seconds behind me. So I am in a world of my own, sitting pretty in P9. But Verstappen gets the move done on Ocon. He's around the outside of the Frenchman in the French team. And Verstappen is up into P5. But we now go back to the 2 leaders as Perez is putting a lot of pressure on Carlos Sainz. And guys, remember, the AI enabled that super ERS in the final 2 laps of every race. And the thing is, because Perez has got the aid of DRS as well, he is now in the quicker car, and that Red Bull looks very, very fast in the straights. Here we go. DRS is open for the Mexican as he's trying to chase down the Spaniard. In the second sector, we go into my 2 favorite quarters of the track. Flick it left, flick it right, but Sainz is still holding on strong. Will this be a final corner dive bomb from Checo Perez? Here we go. DRS is open. Will they go side by side into the final corner? Perez pulls out to the outside. Here we go. It's side by side for the Ferrari and the Red Bull. And I think the 2 team principals are yanking their hair out. But Sainz gives Perez the squeeze, but we've still got the run to the line. Perez will have DRS again. Here we go towards the line. But Sainz just holds on for Scuderia Ferrari as he wins by less than 3/10. Leclerc will get P3. Unfortunate race for Leclerc, but there's still a long championship to go. Russell, Mr. Consistency himself, will get P4 in the Mercedes. Verstappen P5, but we've got a monumental battle for P6. Perez v Sainz, version 2.0 between Magnussen and Ocon. Will Ocon do the same as Sainz? Yes, he does, but the Haas is a quicker car in a straight line. Verstappen P5, will it be Ocon or Magnussen? And Ocon just nips Magnussen by a 10th. Bottas gets P8, and coming home in P9, untroubled, yet for another point-scoring race for Williams, we take P9!
Grand Prix to a close as we reflect on the team's impressive performance today. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think? And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari. So let's review the updated driver's standings. Carlos Sainz extends his lead at the top, getting ever closer to securing the championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to O'Connor. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern-day Formula One.
Let's move on to the constructors. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today, as they make their way up the standings. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Guys, what a Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Congratulations to Carlos Sainz for fending off Sergio Perez. Charles Leclerc gets the fastest lap. We come home in P9 for Williams Racing. Albon, unfortunately, just outside the points in P13. But well done to Sebastian Vettel, who raced from P17 to P12, and unfortunately your two DNFs are Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton, the two Brits not having a very nice weekend. But guys, that is the championship standings. Sainz leads the championship by 50 points to 28 over Verstappen, Leclerc 22, Perez 18. It's still a long championship to go. But yeah, Leclerc did not have the perfect two first races. But in the constructors, which we are worried about at this stage, Williams is still in P5 ahead of Haas, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, Aston Martin, and AlphaTauri. I can't believe AlphaTauri have not yet scored points. That is kind of sad. But guys, for this season, we just need to try to finish about P8, P7 in the constructors. So at this stage, things are looking good. But there's still 14 races to go. Drivers' Championship, I'm not too worried whether it's me or Albon that does better. So anything and everything is fine by me. We just need to keep scoring points. But I've got a big feeling the next round when we head to Albert Park for the Australian Grand Prix might be a bit of a reality check. It's a strong track for the AI. It's not a very good track for me, but we will see the new layout of Albert Park for the first time in the F122 game here on Turbo Fox RacerZ. So I think it's still going to be an enjoyable Grand Prix. And if there's safety cars or there's a bit of chaos, you never know, we might scoop up a final bit of points. But guys, that has been this episode, only the second episode of Career Mode. And guys, just one thing before you guys leave. Guys, just currently, for those of you guys that don't know, in South Africa, we've got a very big power deficiency from the government. And we are currently in a very bad load shedding status in the country. So the power is more off than on. So I will try to get these videos out as much and as quickly as possible. But just bear with me until the power situation of my country gets sorted out. But I'm on the grind. Like I said in the previous video, it's a new beginning. And a new beginning is as good as a completely new life, in my opinion, sometimes. But in any case, guys, thank you so much for watching this insane race at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Some epic side-by-side action. I mean, 3 wide moments, crazy overtakes, a little bit of AI mistakes, a few mistakes from myself as well. But we still come away with 2 beautiful points. Guys, before you leave, remember to go check out the links in the description down below. Follow me on social media. Share this video with your friends. Tag me in the post or the story, and I will give you a shout out in a future video as well as on my social media. Remember to drop a like down below on the video. It's only going to take you 2 seconds if you haven't done it yet. If you've done it already, thank you very much, you amazing Turbonatic. And finally, if this is your first time viewing Turbo Fox RacerZ and you are not yet subscribed, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe down below and don't forget to ding that bell to never ever miss a future epic video here on Turbo Fox RacerZ. Welcome to the family. You are officially a Turbonatic like everybody else. Guys, it's been a good one. We're heading to Australia next, and with this team being so far down, the only way is up. It's got to be a good one. I'll see you guys next episode. Cheers!